Alright, today we're making a super simple sofa table with the emphasis on mortise and tenon joinery, and then also a layout diagram for the dimensional lumber used after that. So from the origin, R for rectangle, and I'm going to draw a perimeter boundary box first. So let's drop along the red-green plane a rectangle. The first dimension is my longer of the two, so let's type in 48, 16, enter. For the boundary box, I know that I cannot exceed 48 inches left to right, and I don't want to go more than 16 front to back. P4 push pull. Let's pull this up 30 inches, enter. I want the height of the table to be 30 inches. And spacebar, click and delete all of these faces. I'm pressing delete on the keyboard after clicking. I just want the perimeter boundary box, not all those faces. I also don't want the axis to be shown, so let's go to view and turn off the axis. And before I make this a component, let's press L for line from the corner to corner, making a diagonal along the bottom side. Let's delete these faces again. And this just gives me a center point that I can snap to, midpoint, something I can snap to as I'm building this model. So spacebar, triple click to select all of the geometry. G for component, enter. Let's draw the top first, and the top, like I said, is going to be 16 inches front to back. That's evenly divided by 4. So there will be 4 planks in this particular glued panel, each one 4 inches in width. So from the top, let's press R for rectangle. And just constraining to this opposite edge over here, the dimensions say my second is the shorter of the two, so let's press comma 4, enter to modify the second dimension only. P4 push pull, and let's push this down for a thickness of 1.25, enter. Spacebar, triple click, G for component, enter. This is one of the 4 boards that will make up the top, and let's just select a color to designate different parts. I'm using my materials, which is also accessed by your paint bucket or pressing B as in bucket on the keyboard. M for move, Control brings up copy. Let's copy one right next to the other and then press X3 to multiply that copy 3 times. That is my 16-inch top panel that will be glued up. And I'm pressing D for dimension. It's a custom keyboard shortcut. I have a couple set up that I will use in this video, so press Window Preferences to set up custom keyboard shortcuts if you choose to do so. I use D for dimension, H for hide, and U for unhide quite often. That way I can click one, hide it with the H button, U for unhide. So those are the custom keyboard shortcuts I'll probably be using in this particular video. Let's draw the legs from this bottom corner, R for rectangle, and drop a rectangle and then type in 2.5, 2.5, enter. It's a 2.5 inch square leg. P4 push pull. Let's pull this to the bottom of the top pieces. I am going to cut the geometry, but I want to get all the legs in the appropriate orientation first. So let's press spacebar, triple click, G for component, enter. This is one of the legs. M for move, and let's push it this way, 2 inches, enter, and push it in the green direction 1 inch. This gives me an overhang on the left side of 2 inches and an overhang on the front side of 1 inch, and I want that same ratio to be applied to all 4 legs. So let's first put some color onto this piece. Green is fine. Let's go to a side view. M for move, Control brings up copy. Let's copy the front to the back and then push it in that same 1 inch, enter. So there's a 1 inch overhang on the front and the back. Now, just because I moved it doesn't mean it's in the appropriate orientation. As it stands, if I edit this part and edit the inside face, it edits the outside face of the back leg. I want the inside to adjust with the inside, outside with the outside. So I need to flip this along the direction I drug it. When I moved this, I moved it along the green axis, so let's right click, or green direction I should say. Right click, flip along the green, and now if I edit the inside will be updated as well. And to very easily get the right side of the legs in the appropriate orientation and distance from the edge, all I have to do is click, hold shift, click to select both of these, Q for rotate, and this midpoint right here, I can rotate 180 degrees from left to right, press Ctrl to bring up copy, and now if I edit one of these inside faces, all of the appropriate inside faces will be edited as well. Excuse me. So now let's draw the rails. I don't need this boundary box anymore. Yes, I might need it. So let's actually just hide the top faces. So I'm only gonna, or the top pieces, I'm only using a window to select only the top, H for hide, and now I can draw the rails. So on this leg, let's press R for rectangle and drop a rectangle, and I know that my first dimension is the shorter of the two, so the thickness is 1.25, 6 for the length. That's the size of my rail. P4 push pull. Let's pull it to the inside of this leg over here. Spacebar, triple click, G for component, enter, M for move, and I want it to be inset by 0.25 inches from the legs. Same thing over here real quick, R for rectangle. Let's draw this one, and 6, 1.25, enter, P4 push pull, and pull it to this leg. Spacebar, triple click, G for component, enter, M for move, and let's push it along the green axis into the part point, or to the project, 0.25 inches, enter. So let's put some color on these. These are different parts. Next up is yellow. Let's drop that, and then let's just go to red. Drop that. So that is my long rail and short rail. I can click, or spacebar, click, hold shift, click that one again so to select both of those. Q for rotate from this midpoint again, and I can rotate these 180 degrees to be in the back side, and press Ctrl to bring up copy and drop them into place. So now let's hide this boundary box. Let's cut the joinery. Let's also select all of the legs and hide them really quick. Let's make these tenons. Let's double click to edit this long rail. F for offset, and let's come in 3/8 of an inch, enter. And that means that if I came in 3/8 of an inch from all sides, the center tenon should be 1/2 of an inch, which it is. Let's grab that center point, or center face, P4 push pull, and let's pull it this direction 1 inch, enter. That's my tenon. And I don't necessarily have to go to the back side to get the other tenon, so let's press spacebar, click on this face, M for move, Control brings up copy, and let's constrain to the red axis, so we go all the way back here and drop it off constrained to this endpoint, so it's on that back face. Once I dropped it off, it is still selected, so let's press P4 push pull, and let's push this tenon that direction 1 inch, enter. And so that's very easily made both tenons on both sides, because one is a copy of the other. It updated this back one over here as well. Spacebar, click to get out. Now let's edit this short rail as well. Same exact process, double click to edit the part, F for offset, come in 3/8 of an inch. Spacebar, click the middle to select it, P4 push pull, and let's pull this tenon out 1 inch, enter. Spacebar, click that face again, M for move, and let's press Control to bring up copy, constraining to the green axis, and drop it off on this back edge over there, P4 push pull, and let's push it that direction 1 inch, enter. Exact same process, and now what is a copy, which is back here, is updated as well. Let's press U for unhide. I no longer need this boundary box. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And let's click and hide all of those really quick. Basically, I just wanted to get the legs back. Excuse me. So we've cut the tenons. Now let's cut the mortises. You can press K for hidden lines, and you can see all the hidden lines inside all the parts. You can use that, or in my case, I like to use this X-ray, and I think that's just a better visual representation of the hidden geometry. So let's double click to edit the leg, because we are about to make the mortises. Now if I need to draw on this back face, but in this orientation the top face of the leg is in the way. So if I press R for rectangle and start drawing, I'm not drawing on that back face back there. As you can see, I just drew it on the top side of the leg, as it's confirmed there. Press Ctrl Z to back up. So instead of, in order to draw on that back face, you need to snap to these object points, or object snaps. So in this case, I'm going to snap to this endpoint over here, pressing R for rectangle, and snap down there. Same with this tenon over here. Basically, I'm drawing the shape of the tenons on the back side of the faces that I cannot see. Use a spacebar to only select, or press spacebar and use a window to only select that face that I just drew, and P4 push pull, and now you can see that I'm pulling this mortise into place. Same thing over here. Let's press spacebar and then use a window to only select this face that I just drew. P4 push pull, and I'm going to pull this one into place over here. So now I have all of my mortises and tenons cut for all of my pieces, and because I rotated all the parts and changed the orientation appropriately, all of the geometry should be, and all the joinery should be on the appropriate orientation for each one of the legs. So let's turn off the X-ray, let's hide the rails, and as you can see, the offset mortises are in the appropriate orientation for all of the legs. Let's unhide this so we get back to where we were. And excuse me, just to dress this up a little bit, I'm going to use a couple tapers on the legs, 2 inside face tapers. Nothing fancy. You can do some edge detail and all kinds of other stuff to dress this up a little bit, but this is just going to be a basic functional table. It's going to be very strong because of the joinery. So let's draw the tapers. The taper I want is going to be on the 2 inside faces, and this particular leg has the 2 inside faces facing me. So I'm going to edit this, double click to edit the part. I'm going to select this bottom edge, hold shift to select this bottom edge as well, M for move. And if I just move these up, the geometry gets crazy. I want to press Ctrl to bring up copy, and let's go this direction, 20 inches, enter. That's fine. And now let's make the taper. That just established the start of the taper. Now we can grab this down here, M for move, and let's push it in the green direction, 1 inch, enter. There's the start of the taper. The taper ends 1 inch in on the bottom of the legs. Select this other edge over here and do the same thing. M for move. This time we're going in the red direction. That way, 1 inch, enter. So now we have a 2-sided taper on both inside faces of all the legs, and they updated on the appropriate side for each individual leg. So that's pretty much it for the table. You can get pretty fancy and come in here on the top of the rails and add, you know, in my case, I'm going to use hold down or tabletop hold down fasteners, tabletop clips. So I could cut this line in here needed for, or this dado in here needed for those, and all that stuff. I don't really care about the fine, super fine details. So this is the completed table. Let's make a layout for it. A couple things first. Let's go to styles and change it to engineering style so I have a white background, and also remove the axis one more time. And then let's go to scenes and add a new scene called overview. This is my overview. That way if I'm somewhere else in the model, I can just press overview and it comes right back to where I was. Now as you can see, there is an animation there. I don't really care for the animations. That just drives me nuts. So let's go to model info, which is window model info, and I'm just going to uncheck enable scene transitions and get that out of the way. That way if I'm somewhere else and I go to overview, it's instant. That's fine for me. Let's go to a slightly top-down view, and let's grab all of this. M for move, Control brings up copy. I always copy to the right for my layout for some reason. Not exactly sure why. But let's get this into frame and go to camera, parallel projection. And we're going to go with a slight top-down view, not much. And make a new layout, or a new scene called layout. That way I can instantly click back to my overview and click to my layout. So let's complete the layout really quick, and that just means to start, let's move all of our pieces laid out flat on the same plane. So there's the top, let's click the leg, Q for rotate, and let's rotate it this way so that the joinery is not shown. Here the joinery is shown. That's just adding detail to the layout that you don't need. So let's go this direction, 90 degrees, enter, M for move. And let's move this into place. It's easier to press Control for copy and copy these times X3 than it is to rotate and move all of the additional legs. So I got my 4 legs here. Same process with the rails. Q for rotate on the red side. Let's go 90 degrees, enter, M for move. And let's put this into place. And I'm just going to snap it there and then make sure that all of the edges are parallel. It's easier to copy one than it is to move the next one. So there's the copy, and let's click and delete that one. Same thing with the yellow, that short rail. 90 degrees, enter. I'm rotating all these. 90 degrees, enter, M for move. Put it into place, and just copy another one right there. Now, let's delete that. I use Q for rotate, but if you're in the M for move command, you see all these plus points right here? That will allow you to rotate while you're in the move command. I always press Q for rotate because if I'm trying to rotate this small edge, right, the small face over here, sometimes I can't particularly snap to what I need to snap to, so it sometimes gets confusing. moving and rotating all within the move command. So I just use the move command for move and the rotate command for rotate. Now everything is on the same plane. Let's press the top down view, zoom out a little bit, and I no longer want to have that like 3/4 view that I was in. So let's go to update this particular layout scene. What material are we going to be working with? This is 4 inches, so you could get these pieces out of a 2x6 if you wanted to. These pieces are 6 inches, so you'd have to go with a 2x8 or larger. You can optimize for different size lumber if you want, but for me, I've got 2x10s on hand, so all of my stuff is going to be made from 2x10s. R for rectangle, let's just draw a 2x10. Let's press, just draw the rectangle. The first one is the longer of the two, so let's type in 96, 9.25, which is the dimensions of a 2x10. Let's click to delete the center face that we do not need. Spacebar, triple click to select all of the geometry for the 2x10. G for component, enter, M for move, and just move it away a little bit. And then also let's press Ctrl for copy, and let's copy another one down here. Let's just say 13, enter, and then X5, enter. So now we have multiple 2x10s to lay out. Let's update this again so we're back to where we can come right back to this spot. Now let's put the pieces into place and the orientation in which they will be cut out. I know that if I'm using a 2x10, typically the center area is the pith, and I'm going to avoid that. So if I put these into place, I'm going to be cutting them like so, pretty much staying on the edges and removing the interior pieces. Let's select all of these. M for move, Control brings up copy. It's easier to copy to when you already have them in the appropriate orientation. Now here, this is a full, I went 48 inches, so this is a full 96 inches minus the kerf of the saw blade. So this isn't exactly 48 inches. But I just thought of something really quick, and this will be a great example as to why it's best to, in my opinion, keep everything in SketchUp for both the layout and the model. So I've got to make a change here. And because all of these parts were a copy of the original overview model, then all of these pieces will be updated as I make the changes. And you'll see in just a second that these aren't exactly that particular length. So let's go back to the overview. The change that I have to make is I just remembered that my longest clamp has a 41.5 inch space inside the jaws of the clamp. So I can't clamp anything longer than that, easily anyway. So my distance from this point to this point is more than the 41.5 inches of the clamps when I clamp up this particular assembly right here, the two legs and then the front, or the long rails, front and back. So instead, let's press T for tape measure from here, and let's go in this direction, that same distance, 41.5 inches, enter. And I need to move these legs, so I'm going to use a window to select the legs and this particular short rail, M for move. And let's move this in to my line, my guide line right there. And in the bottom right corner, you see the length is 2.5 inches. Let's remember that. So let's drop it off right there. And what I moved here, I need to subtract from the top. So let's double click to edit the top piece, use a window to select the face that I cannot see on that edge, P4 push pull. Let's push this in that same 2.5 inches, enter. Spacebar, click to get out. Now I need to modify the long rails. Double click to edit the long rail, use a window to select all of that geometry on the right hand side, M for move, and let's push this in 2.5 inches, enter. So now the front rail is the appropriate length for the clamp. But when I rotated these pieces front to back, this corner became this corner. So this is the appropriate length now because it updated. I just need to move it into place. So let's go this direction, 2.5, enter, and delete my guideline. So now all I did was shrink the whole table by 2.5 inches to fit within the constraints of my particular clamps. Because this is a copy, whatever I did to these updated on the layout. And as you can see, that same 2.5 inch length was removed from each one of these top pieces. And I didn't put these into place yet, but these did remove 2.5 inches as well. So that's why I like to keep everything in SketchUp excuse me, for the layout. Because if you were to make the overview, make the model, and export all of your dimensions manually into another program, and then you make some changes, then you'll have to do you'll have to change those dimensions as well into the other program. Here everything's updated, and in this case I don't even have to update the model because there's no more efficient use of this cut anyway. So let's work on the next pieces. Let's go with these legs. Now take into consideration these legs are 2.5 inches square. This lumber is 1.5 inches thick, so it's going to take 2 of these shapes for one individual leg. So instead of 4 being represented over here, I need a total of 8 of these represented over here. So let's M4 move and move this into place, move this down into place. Typically the center point is, the center line is the pith of the tree, like I set up here, a pith of the board. Plus we have some knots to work around, so while this does look like there's a lot of waste, it does give me the room to work around the pieces that I don't want, the parts that I don't want, such as knots and the center pith. So I've got these in appropriate orientation. Let's just delete these. I know that I need 8 for 4 legs. So let's grab these, M4 move, Control brings up copy, and let's copy some right there. Press X to enter to copy that. That's all I can fit on this particular board. Again, leaving some waste material for cutting out knots and such as that. Let's grab these 2, M4 move, Control brings up copy, and there we go. That's the legs. These 2 pieces equal 1 leg, 1 leg, 1 leg, 1 leg for a total of 4 legs. Let's grab this, M4 move, and drop it down here. Something like that. Control brings up copy. There's the second one right there. Let's delete that. And these can be moved up to there somewhere. Now, because the center line is, or the center point of these boards is somewhat the pith area, then some of these may contain the pith, or I may choose to cut these particular pieces on boards that may not have the pith in there. But this gives me plenty of room to cut around defects and that kind of thing. But it tells me that I can delete these 2, and even with a little bit of generous room, all of these will fit on 4 boards. And honestly, it would be really pushing it if I was to try and put all of these onto 3 boards. So in my case, that's an extra $8 for the project. Not that big of a deal for better grain selection and all that good stuff. So once I have this the way that I want, I can use the dimension tool to add dimensions and such and all that stuff if I want to. But basically, let's update the layout. And basically this gives me a reference diagram for the layout for the pieces and an overview of the completed project. Any changes that I make here will be updated on the layout. So that's it. A super simple table. Should be pretty strong with the Mortise and Tenon joinery. Functional, big, beefy, long-lasting table. So hopefully you enjoyed this, maybe picked up a couple things. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.